dessert.
Hello, Oscar. What do you want to know? Oscar always got questions. All right, sir, you go ahead and ask me your questions. What do you want to know, sir?
This episode is about scaling groups.
Scaling. Okay. Let me lay down in my relaxation chair. Oscar's about to ask me about scaling. Ask away. By the way, if I'm laying like this, doesn't this mean I'm the one, you're supposed to be advising me. This is the posture of a man being advised about life and you giving me some wisdom. Meanwhile, I'm trying to relax and you're asking me, how do I scale, Yus? How do I get aggressive? Ain't bought a company yet talking about scaling.
Okay, I just want to know what changes from buying your first business to now buying multiple businesses.
Okay.
Because I guess there's no scaling the group if you only have one business.
Let me sit up. Okay. What changes after you've bought the first company and you want to go buy more companies, correct?
Yeah.
Good question, Oscar. Let me give you an answer let me give you a good answer. Okay. When you start off on this journey of building businesses through buying businesses, you go through a transition. Something like a butterfly. A butterfly starts as a piece of lava. Nasty. Nobody wants to touch or meddle with lava. And then at some point it becomes a butterfly and it flies away. And we've all seen the stories, right? And similarly, when you're on this journey, at first you don't know shit. You're just a lava. You ain't done nothing. And you have an internal belief system that's extremely limited. No matter how many of these videos you watch of me telling you deal flow, debt, equity, no matter how many other people you watch executing M&A, there'll be a little piece of yourself, a voice in your mind saying, can you do this? I understand Yusufa can do this, but can I do this? Now, what happens is the moment you buy your first business, you now have objective evidence for yourself and for that voice that, wow, I can actually do this, right? I've done it. I've bought a company. I exist. I'm a real boy, like Pinocchio. I'm a real boy, right? But the voice doesn't die. It then gets loud again and starts saying, oh, but you're a fraud. You got lucky. You did it once. There were extenuating circumstances that led to you converting that transaction. You can't do it again. But here's what happens. Once you've done this thing, not once, but twice, all of a sudden, your belief system becomes ratified. You become a man or a gal who believes that you can do this, who believes in the system of building businesses through buying businesses. You literally become an evolved entity, a butterfly. And I say that because I think emotionally something happens when you start scaling, which is you literally become a changed person. You have a new set of beliefs because you then start asking yourself questions like, well, if I could buy 2 profitable companies doing deal flow, debt, equity, what's the limit? Instead of a limiting belief, it becomes a limitless question. What is the limit? How big can I take this? You then start to raise your ambitions. You then start to cast your eyes, right, beyond the horizon. And if you have some wisdom, you lay a pathway for yourself that you can execute against over the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So philosophically, what changes, Oscar, when you start scaling is you literally become a different person. Because once you've done this twice, it's no longer luck. Now, I believe that your question was more intended in a physical point of view, materially. What materially changes? To be very transparent with you, not much materially changes. And this is why I gave you the philosophical answer. Because at the end of the day, hiring a CEO is a fancy term for just aligning with and having a human connection with another individual who happens to have a particular set of skills that makes them well suited for the role of CEO and agreeing on the terms of employment with that individual such that they become a CEO. Big deal. Recruiting members of the board. Big deal. Putting in place processes and systems through other people, i.e. hiring people that then put those systems in place. Big deal. All of this stuff is the incremental change that takes place as you scale, but I actually think that is not the big deal. For me to tell you that alone would be for me to miss a trick, because what actually changes is you. You go from being a non-believer to a believer. So poetic.
Yeah.
I should start writing poems.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Of life.
The book on life.
Yeah.
You should walk into the airport, walk to the stand somewhere, a newsstand, okay? Have your little orange juice, your little newspaper, and just before you pay, there's a book with a smiling African called the Book of Wisdom.
On discount.
Yeah. Coming soon to a fucking airport stand near you, sir. Like we're hunting moments.
Yeah.
You know, Oscar and I, we're now we work so well together that we don't even try anymore.
No.
I mean, this isn't work, is it?
No.
We're in my apartment about to drink coffee, chocolate flavored coffee.
Oh, nice.
And Oscar's asking me questions. I'm answering. We're having fun. He's gonna go away and edit this shit, make it look pretty badass. This is cheating. Surely this can't be work. You know what I'm saying? And in the work, I feel as if we're hunting moments. You know, we're hunting for these little nuggets. I mean, imagine like when you're hanging out with someone who you're just so aligned with, you both think in ways that are contrary, right? But just enough contradiction, but also just enough alignment. There's just enough friction, mutual respect for one another, mutual admiration. And sometimes we just say stuff to each other and we go, man, that was like, you know, I'd never thought of that before. And I think I provoke Oscar and his way of thinking. He certainly provokes me, right? He's made a side gig of provoking me, you know what I'm saying? But we're just hunting these little moments, trying to capture them and gifting them to you. By the way, did I mention that I am a proprietor of a video game, a video simulator called FactoryTycoon.com, FAKTORY-tycoon.com, and at FactoryTycoon.com, you too can buy a business, merge a business, invest in a business, divest a business, raise money from investors, all of the above, build a group, and you can do it for a small price of 99 pounds. That's £1 less than 100 pounds, because we would never charge you 100 pounds. We only charge you 99 pounds to play FactoryTycoon.com, the best M&A simulator on planet Earth. And by the way, the CEO of FactoryTycoon.com, Will, has made me tell you guys to sign up for the Discord community. That's right, we shall soon be having a Discord community where, dun-dun-dun, I have no fucking clue what's gonna be in the Discord community. But William made me tell you to sign up for a Discord community, so I'm sure there's gonna be a link here to the Discord community. Sign up, and will tell you what you get there. I don't fucking know, but it's excellent. Hey?
Yeah.
Awesome.
From asking you the questions
Yep.
and listening to your answer,
Yes, sir.
I realized that when I say scaling, you mean buy more businesses and scale through that. So maybe we could talk about the merger part.
Okay.
Not entirely. This video is about scaling.
No, we can do that.
But the merger part, like when you have a single business, there's no merge.
How do you scale, not only organically, i.e., doing more of what you already do, but doing it more profitably, doing it more often such that you have more revenue, but inorganically, i.e. through M&A. And as you start to buy not only one M&A business through M&A, but another business through M&A, how do you then merge these entities to then become one group through M&A? I actually think that the term merging is a bit too fancy. Mergers and acquisitions. It sounds so distant. It sounds so professional. What's actually going on? Look, at the end of the day, what is a business? A business is an organization that has intention, clear intention, right? They have a mission. The mission is around humans, right? Human capital. And the mission is typically around providing a set of products or services for an end consumer, i.e. a client, at a price that is higher than their cost of providing that service, capturing the difference as profit, rinsing and repeating. And to the extent that you can do that often on a repeated basis, and every month or every year do more of it than you did the year before, that's scaling organically. Scaling through M&A and merging these companies is just fancy stuff. All that means is you take one company that does one thing and is on one mission, another company that does another thing and is maybe on a similar mission, and you simply put them under a holding company umbrella that says we now have these two companies that are acting as one. They are riding in unison, and that's the first step. There's literally an organizational merger, i.e. there's just an entity that sits above them or controls them both. Okay, you can then say, what else? You look at each individual business and you say, well, what are the functions that could benefit from being crossed in nature? For example, quite often, each business has its financial reporting, and hopefully they have a reporting system, software, where they sort of keep their books and generate management accounts. But if you have these two companies and they are on two separate accounting systems, then that may not be the most wise way to have these companies ride in unison. So then the question is, which of these is a superior system, either given that the system itself is superior or the people that run these systems, this one has a more superior set of individuals, and then you simply transfer the other business to the same system. That's one way you merge. Have them both on the same system. Another way you merge is by saying, well, are there any centralized function opportunities, right? For example, if both of them have independent sales guys and gals, is there an opportunity maybe to, instead of these salespeople only selling this business's services in this business's region, and these ones doing the same, is there any way for these people to sell this company's services and this one to sell that company's services? That as well is part of a merger, the merging of interests, if that makes sense. You may then say, for example, this one has a headquarters and that one has a headquarters, but maybe they have individual satellite offices to service customers. But you might lay a map down and say, well, now that we have not one but two businesses, what is the most efficient use of our capital? Maybe we shut down one or two of these satellite offices and have just one centralized satellite office. Do we even need two headquarters? You merge office functions. And what I'm trying to say is the term merger, I think, is often misunderstood. It sounds super binary, like you buy one company, you buy another company, and you do a merger. In reality, it doesn't work like that. In reality, what you're doing is you're looking at these two independent entities and trying to see to what extent you can extract shared value across the whole. Make sense?
Yesterday I was sort of like researching, and I was getting into my nerd mode about mergers, and I sort of studied a lot of successful founders in private equity. What they all had in common was that they either centralized parts of all the small businesses into the group or decentralized into each business unit. They took, for example, instead of saying having a HR department in each business unit, they just centralized the HR department on group level. And then they said operations is decentralized into each business unit, and that was sort of like the similarities in each success story.
I feel threatened.
What?
They're taking our jobs. First they stand behind the camera, then they stand in front of the camera, and then they give better answers than I gave. They're taking our jobs, Oscar. Exactly what Oscar just said. It's a great answer.
Literally, by the way, you don't want hot water, right?
No, it's okay.
Literally, Oscar, what you said is exactly, in fact, what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna watch this episode of this show. I'm then gonna call my guys and say, guys, I've got an idea. Remember we talked last time about what do I actually do? I'm gonna say, guys, I'm raising the bar here. I think we need to have HR centralized and then some things decentralized. Forks and knives, baby. Forks and knives. The funny thing is, I can see why finance people are stereotyped as being greedy. We literally just bought a business 2 weeks ago, and I am like super impatient. I want another one. Steel Paul delivered his one. HVAC Paul has failed to deliver. Where is the HVAC business?
When they haven't bought the business, the Pauls don't answer.
Yeah.
When they have bought a business, they do answer. That's how it works. The thing is, you work on these deals for so damn long. The last thing you want is going into Christmas, going into the new year, thinking about this stuff, you know? I want new problems in 2026. I don't want last year's problems. Let's solve last year's problems.
It's quite funny. My next question is, what functions should be centralized at group level and what should you decentralize?
What function should be centralized? All right.
But I mean, we talked a bit about it, but...
A very wise man stood in my kitchen and had all kinds of gestures where he talked about HR should be centralized, and he even did a little bit of this. He even did some of this. So whatever that man said about central functions is what the audience should do. To be very honest with you, and in the spirit of full transparency, I think that people have a sense that if you don't have all the answers, if you don't have all the information, and if you don't know everything about everything, then it's not even worth starting. Dude, the point is, you're not gonna know all of the things that are required on day one. I still don't really know how to merge businesses. To be very honest with you, I'm the founder and currently chairman of a group of steel companies that does 40 million pounds in revenue, and we have 5 or 6 business units, 350 now full-time employees. And we have merged these companies. We have a headquarter where all our execs meet. We have a CEO and we have 3 managing directors, right? We have general managers. We have a lot going on. I don't know shit about merging companies. So it's just to say, you don't have to know all of this stuff. Just get started, dude. And obviously, it's very valuable talking about merging businesses. But you merge businesses once you have successfully acquired more than one. So in the spirit of honesty, definitely this is a valuable subject matter because it is sort of preempting the value to come. But basically, go find a business and buy one, and then do it again. And then we will discuss how to merge them. Or not. I still don't know how to fucking merge companies. I just know how to get a team that does.
Okay, so you would sort of advise people to get a group CEO at some level, at some point?
I would advise people to get a group CEO. I would, yes. Can I just approach this in a different way? Mm-hmm. There is no right answer. I much prefer whoever's watching this to take a step back. Design your life, right? So 2 years, 3 years, 10 years from now, what life do you wish to lead? What legacy do you wish to start chipping away at? What purpose do you want? What activities do you desire? Design that. And within that, ask yourself, what is the most efficient vehicle of unlocking that? And if somewhere in that design experiment, that thought experiment, you feel as though building a large group by buying a series of similar groups and merging those together is what you wish to do, then I would say, okay, in that case, then having some high-level understanding of how you would merge them is valuable. But you can also just be reactive. I mean, this year, we went on a fundraising journey, right? We're still on that journey, frankly, but we've been trying to raise 80 million pounds, 100 million bucks. And the investment firm, which is a Texas-based private equity company that has a London office that we had discussions with, essentially said to us, guys, you have to build a pure play HVAC, meaning no adjacent services, meaning they do heating and ventilation installations, 40 to 50% reoccurring revenue, meaning not the project-based stuff like the business we bought last year, and we want them under some sort of unified brand umbrella. Go build that, hire a chief integration officer, and extract visible synergies, right? Go build that group. And essentially the capital is dictating what we should do. Remember, the money is the master. And so based on that feedback from reality, we have to think very consciously in our HVAC group about how do we merge these companies. But I guess what I'm suggesting is don't use lack of knowledge or lack of information or lack of conviction in a specific subject matter, such as merging, as an excuse to not take action. Go buy a fucking business. Go do it again. Now you have 2. Now, obviously, buy companies that you've already thought through some strategy at some high level, right? Don't buy a
fax machine distributor company, right? Because even if you can find one, you probably ain't gonna find another. You know what I'm saying? And you certainly ain't scaling those. So give it some thought. But generally speaking, I think the value is created through action. I wish to be the least smart person in my executive team, and I think I have achieved that.
Can you scale in a dangerous direction?
Whoa, can you scale in a dangerous direction? That sounds like Tom Cruise trying to scale a wall someplace. Can you scale in a dangerous direction? God damn. Okay.
If we assume that
Yeah.
scaling is buying more businesses, and dangerous, I mean not like life-threatening,
That's good clarification. So not life-threatening. So
just like fucking up your financials, going bankrupt.
I don't think that you can scale in a dangerous direction per se. That's somewhat of a binary question. And Oscar and I, we have this game where every time he asks me a binary question, I provoke it and say, yeah, but there is no right or wrong. What I would say is, honestly, look, let me give you the rich uncle analogy. When someone says, oh, so-and-so, let's use a guy, let's say David. David has a rich uncle. What they mean is, in all likelihood, David's uncle owns a business or a series of businesses where his collective dividend participation is probably somewhere between $500,000 and $1.5 million a year. That's the rich uncle. Very few people are actually what's called the ultra high net worth, right? Meaning have a net worth of above 50 million bucks. And frankly, someone who's generating dividend capture of $1.5 million a year, even at a relatively low multiple of say 4 or 5, is worth some money. So that's the rich uncle. That rich uncle may actually own shares in just one business, or may own a little piece of multiple companies, or may have one main company but have little micro investments. And it's not like we sort of look at that guy or gal and think, have they done it wrong? Have they done it right? So there is no destination. There is no like scaling in the wrong direction. There's just actions and consequences. You make bets, right? You place investments, and those bets either have a return or fail to have a return. That return dictates the lifestyle that you can lead, the rate at which you can burn, i.e. spend money, the rate at which you can have investments, which typically come from excess cash, right? Above and beyond living your means, the extent to which you have a nest egg. Now, whether or not you got that wealth or you get that cash flow from having one large group that's made up of 10 companies that all operate under one umbrella, or 10 individual investments that each contribute little tiny dividend checks, or one small principal company where you operate and having a multitude of micro investments that maybe don't even yield returns yet, that's all frivolous information. It doesn't matter. The point is, are you having fun? Are you investing in an area where you're happy to be engaged for 10, 15, 20 years? Are you doing it profitably such that every year you're getting some return on your investment? And are you learning? Are you growing? Are you getting wiser? And so this idea that, you can do like Tom Cruise and scale up the wrong wall, scaling in a dangerous direction, I think is a very binary, and I would much rather you do lifestyle design. What do you want to do? Right now, today is what? Today is...
Monday?
This is today. Monday? Today's Monday. I'm sitting here. I got no socks on. I got on my scarf on my balcony. I'm drinking a cup of coffee. I'm talking to Oscar. This is how I choose to spend my Monday. True, I tried to call, I'm going to try to call Paul, right? And try to get an update on whether or not we've closed the deal. There's a lot of shit going on. But this is the lifestyle that I choose to lead, right? So I've been very conscious with lifestyle design, and my message to you is be very conscious with your lifestyle design as opposed to trying to go for perfection. By the way, Paul, speaking of the devil, here he is. Mr. Paul Hooper, sir.
Hello, sir. How are you on this fine day?
I'm doing extremely well, sir, except I wish it was a finer day.
Where are you at the moment?
I've got my feet up, and I'm somewhere on a balcony in Copenhagen. I'm sat next to a strange man who I'm yet to trust. He's gained proximity to me, and he keeps pointing a gadget at me, but I'm not sure whether this man is an appropriate being or not. How about you?
I'm all good, sir. I'm all good.
Very nice. How's it looking with the target, sir? The one we're supposed to buy before Christmas. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.